The corner, the corner, the corner. Hey, welcome. Come on into Cousin Ed's Corner. This podcast is where you will find real, authentic conversation. Organic conversation. Like you're at home with your cousin. It's about life. It's about finance. It's about spirituality. It's about love. And everything in between. I'm your host, Cousin Ed. I'm excited to bring you along on this journey to explore life. Listen, let's sit back and enjoy a wide range of topics. I have some diverse guests coming on, a wide range of spectrum of thoughts. My goal is to create a space for all of us to connect, all of us to learn each other, and all of us to communicate. It's really not about me. It's about the community as a whole. Let's enjoy this. Let's sit back. Let's think about our past. Let's move into our future. It's about the corner, the corner, the corner. So no matter how you cut it or slice it, we're all here together. I'm just here to give you a piece of my heart, my mind, my soul, and my mentals. So sit back, relax, and enjoy another episode of Cousin Ed's Corner. The corner, the corner, the corner. Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir. We are back with another episode of Cousin Ed's Corner. And once again, I am honored to have another sister on the show who is doing big things. This episode is When My Sister Wins, We All Win. And I am we are definitely winning with this episode. I found this young lady. Y'all all know the story. It's a gift and a curse on social media. But my algorithms have been winning. I found this young lady on social media and her posts just were informational, family oriented. And I wanted to bring her on the show to introduce her to Cousin Ed's Corner and hopefully have her back again so we can learn some things from her and some of the information that she's putting out. So Savaun, welcome to Cousin Ed's Corner.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Well, thank you for coming. I'm so honored to have you here. I really just want to jump in. We talked a little bit before, but I really want to know more about you. I always come off and I want to say, I don't want to know the diaper story, but I really want to know about who you are and how you got started. I can read your bio. You know, you are well accomplished, but what got you to this point?
You know, the grace of God. That's what
Amen.
That's what got me to this point. A little bit about me is I am, by day, an estate planning attorney. I'm also a college professor. And by day and night, I'm a mother of 4. I'm a wife. I'm an entrepreneur. And I'm somebody trying to keep it all together. So that's in a quick glimpse. That's what those are the roles that I serve in.
So that's you today, but what got you to this point? Estate planning, professor. So who are you? Like, what got you to this point?
Sure. So there's no, I wish I could tell you that there's a simple formula or trajectory, or when I was 5, I knew that I was going to do this. But I didn't. When I was 5, I wanted to be a singer, and I cannot sing. So I'm a terrible singer. So I had to refocus. I was originally in school, when I say school, college, with a science background. Turns out I'm terrible at that as well. So I was an African American studies major. I changed to African American studies. And my parents, God bless them, they were like, well, that's great, but what else are you going to do? And I was like, what do you mean, what else am I going to do with that? African American studies, that's what I'm going to do. And they were like, okay, but unless you go on to get a master's and a PhD in that field, it's going to be hard to get a job. Very practical advice, especially for that time. I think now we have a bigger understanding of maybe what's possible in career paths. But at that time, I went to college quite a while. I was in college when 9/11 happened. So I was in college quite a while ago. So, that advice was very appropriate for that time. So I double majored in criminal justice and child advocacy. And because my first 2 years of college were spent doing science classes, I didn't have any criminal justice classes or African American classes. So I went to school year round, winter sessions, summer sessions, 21 credits a session, so that I could graduate on time with a double major in African American studies and criminal justice. And after that, I went on to get my master's degree in criminal justice. And then after that, I went to law school. I ended up becoming an estate planner because I was part of the Great Resignation. Prior to that, I was a federal attorney working my, good government job. And I felt like I went to law school to do more, to serve my community better. And I did not feel like I was doing that in my previous role.
That is a lot. I like for you to come down to Georgia and help out with this Trump case and make sure,
Oh goodness, I'm not even qualified for that, but I trust that the council in Georgia is more than prepared for the great show that will be.
This is going to be something amazing. But for you, I mean, that is amazing. You basically started your first 2 years and had to catch up the next two and put 4 within 2. So that's amazing, being able to do that. So congratulations to you. And then making the choice to say, I want to do more with my community and focusing on estate planning. That was some of the key videos that I saw on your profile, and it interested me because a lot of us don't know about estate planning. And then your tag or your profile, the Savvy Mommie, right?
Yes.
That also is another hat that you're wearing. And I was like, she's doing all these things. And I wanted to find out, one, like I said before, who you are and how did you get to this point? But how are you able to keep up with all these things and help others at the same time? So I know it must be hard, but can you explain how that tag or that profile came about?
Sure. These are great questions. So I used to have another IG page, and about a year or 2 years ago, and that one I was growing a following, showing how I was painting my home and decorating. I crochet and I knit things for my children, and I was cooking and doing food presentations and like all the cute little domestic type stuff. And that's what I was showcasing on that page. And that page grew with me as I quit my federal job and then started sharing estate planning content, community building content. And then I lost that page. I had imposters and people were copying my platform and stealing my videos and hacking. It was just a lot going on at one time on Instagram. And so when I wasn't sure if I was going to come back, but when I did come back, I wanted to everybody says, oh, you have to have this specific niche and you have to post about, whatever this specific niche was. And I just wanted to post about what I wanted to post about, which was all estate planning content, my family stuff that I do around the house. And so that's where the Savvy Mommie came about, just kind of savvy in all of these things. And Savvy is my actual nickname. So my full name is Savaun. And I, growing up, my family called me Savvy my entire life. So having 4 children, Savvy Mommie, it felt appropriate. So there's a lot of different ways that I can look at it. But although I don't post as much domestic type content as I used to, I still feel like it's a part of me, and I might start to at any given moment. I just never know.
Well, I definitely see the family orientation behind your content, and you said crocheting and everything. Where's my grandma? Where are other ones like you?
Yes, I used to sew and show stuff I was making for my kids and do all of that kind of stuff. And, maybe I'll do that again, but I'm okay with different versions of myself in different time periods. And I've given myself the permission to kind of evolve as necessary.
Well, you staying right there where you say evolving. In some of the interviews that I've done with young ladies such as yourself, sometimes it does get overwhelming and having to pull back or having to refocus some things are sometimes needed. What advice would you give a mother that's going through career change, going through, you said, modeling the house, trying to focus on, the kids and all this stuff? What advice would you give them?
So the advice that I would give them is free yourself from the responsibility of trying to do it all. You can only hold so much at one time. So it is okay to rotate priorities in different seasons. So that is probably some of the advice that I would give to someone, and advice that I continue to give myself on probably a daily basis. I think if you are a woman who is in today, which is modern times, there's a lot of pressure to manage multiple things at once, because gone are the times for most people where, a single income is going to get it done. For most people, unless you are willing to make some sacrifices, which you may have to do in other times. But also, you don't have to do it all, and free yourself from that feeling that you have to do it all, because you don't.
Well, I definitely appreciate that. One of the biggest things that I've always heard from ladies such as yourself is that it's not only you. You have to make sure you take care of yourself, because if you're not around, then you leave everything else on. They don't know what to do without you. So make sure you take care of self first. That's one of the biggest things.
Yeah, and I can say, if I'm being honest, that whole kind of self-care, take care of yourself movement is so important. But for me, at one point, was very triggering, because it just felt like another burden, another responsibility on top of everything that I have to do. Like, of course, I want to take care of myself, but I also want to take care of my children, my husband, my career, my finances, my spirituality. So it didn't feel like it felt like another pressure, another standard that I had to live up to doing, taking care of myself in a certain way, something else that was going to take time off the clock. And of course, it's important, and I understand we should prioritize it. But if you are a young mother nursing a baby, because new babies eat every 2 hours. So if you're and you're doing that all night, and I have 4 children, and I did that for 2 years apiece. So that's 8 years of my life I'll never get back. But that's another rant. My point is, if you're up all night doing that, right, and you're taking care of other children and other toddlers and making meals, the burden to somehow go to the spa and get a manicure and a pedicure to self-care, or whatever the self-care was at that time, it just felt like another overwhelming obstacle that I had to achieve. So what I would, say to someone else who is struggling with that is, do what you can when you can, but, be careful not to idolize certain movements or ideologies, because again, it just creates another pressure, another stressor for a woman who's trying to manage so many things at once.
That's an excellent perspective. I never thought about it from that perspective, as being another pressure. That's something that I would love to revisit. One thing that I'm telling myself now is to be more intentional.
Yes.
So, we go, and just be more intentional with it. So I thinking about it as a pressure to be more intentional is another thing. So, but let's go ahead and move on. I don't want to keep you long, because I do want to have you back to talk about some of the content that you're putting out. But I do, like you said, 8 years of your life you can't get back. I do want to tell you that you owe me some hours that I cannot get back.
Okay.
You have a video out, and I should hold this off for another show, but since you brought that up, you have a video out talking about cash that states are holding.
Yes.
Okay. I found this video and I went down a rabbit hole of finding cash, not only for myself, but for my friends and family.
Did you get it?
Can you speak on this?
Well, first, did you find any?
Oh, I found a bunch.
Okay, so then I don't owe you anything for that time. In fact, you owe me.
That is true. My bad.
You definitely caught my attention because time is my most valuable resource, right? I cannot get it back. It's all of our most valuable resource. So I was like, how did I waste your time? I was like, let me hear this. But it sounds like you did well. But I'm happy.
Guess what? I didn't find any for myself in any state that I lived in. It was amazing. Yes.
You did not find any?
None for myself.
But for your friends and family?
Yes.
Okay. And did you notify them?
Not yet. I'm waiting for this show. I was going to do a whole nother show and then have them listen. But since we're talking about time, I said I'd go ahead and mention it now. Sure.
So, well, when someone passes away, this money can be accumulated in a number of ways. But I'll talk about one of the more popular ways. When someone passes away without an estate plan, their estate has to go through a process called probate. And during that time, the people who are responsible for your estate, your executor, they have to pay all of your debts and they have to settle all of your accounts. So sometimes you get a tax after people die doesn't mean that business stops. They may get a tax refund check. They may get a refund check from a settlement, from a class action. They can get a check from a car insurance refund or a homeowner's policy refund, or they're just all these different ways that sometimes we get. You ever got just a check in the mail randomly and you were like, oh, what's this for? And it might be for a smaller amount or a large amount. Right. Well, sometimes this money does not reach the person who it's intended to. So in the case where someone passes away, they never cash the check or they never get access to the refund or they're never notified about it. And at that point, it goes to the state. And so the state collects money that did not reach who it was intended to reach, whether this is through a probate situation or for people who are alive and well. Maybe they moved, maybe they didn't respond to that email that said claim your reward, because there's a lot of scams going on. So I understand why they would be apprehensive, or they didn't respond to a letter, or who knows what the case may be. After a certain period of time, this money does something called escheat to the state, which means then it becomes the state's property. If you wait too long to try to find this money, then the state just takes it and it becomes their money. But if you access it within a certain period of time, and every state has different laws, different rules, regulations in terms of how long they'll hold it for you. So if you access it, it's unclaimed assets, unclaimed money. Every state has a state agency that's in charge for these unclaimed assets, unclaimed money, unclaimed resources. And you're most likely to find it in the states that you've lived in. But there are instances where maybe you've worked for a company that might have been registered in a different state, or, invested in something that might have been registered in a different state. There are some instances where it could be in another state you don't live in, but I don't want you to go down a rabbit hole. And
I was about to go, starting with Alabama. I was about to go down the list.
Yeah, I don't want you to go down the rabbit hole. But so number one, it's very important that if you've had a family member who's passed away, who's close to you, especially a parent or a sibling or something like that, that you search their name, their birthday, whatever that state website asks you for, to see if there's any assets for them, because you want to make sure that you get it out before the deadline, and then it becomes part of the state's assets. Then we can do like what you did, Cousin Ed. We search for ourselves. We can search for our friends and our family. And, if you find a pretty penny, go ahead and charge a finder's fee because there are some businesses that will find this money for other people and say, hey, I found this money for you. And I'll tell you where it is for a certain percentage. Now, whether that's ethical or unethical, that depends. It was their time and their resources. So if they found it for somebody and you want to charge a little finder's fee to tell them where it is, then by all means. But that is a little bit of free game. It costs you nothing to search, because now too you have a skill set, so to check periodically and frequently, and exactly where to go. The first time is usually the hardest, but after that, it becomes easier to start looking, and exactly where to look and what to do.
Well, it's definitely I've done it before. It's been some years, and you brought it back to my attention. Years ago, I did find some property that my grandmother had, that my mother, I'm not sure how far she got with it, but between her and her siblings, they had to work on that. So I had to follow up on that for her. But yes, it was amazing to see your video about that and revisit it. So on that same note, you are a licensed, give me proper terminology.
Licensed attorney? Is that
Yes.
what you're? Yes. I am a licensed attorney. I'm barred in the state of North Carolina.
Okay. And you're able to actually do estate planning in that state or other states?
So I typically only do plans for residents of North Carolina. However, depending on what's needed, there's some smaller documents like powers of attorneys that I can do for residents who live in other states. It's just a case-by-case basis. But if I can't help you, I definitely send you a referral for somebody in your state who you can get a consult with, or who can help support you or your goals, whatever those goals may be.
Now, why do you think we in our community don't know much about this?
About estate planning? That's a great question. And there are a number of reasons why. The first reason is, I think in general, people are uncomfortable talking about death or transitioning. And creating an estate plan, you're coming to terms with the fact that I am planning for the time where I will no longer be here. And I think sometimes as people age, that conversation becomes even more difficult, because it's something that they may feel is more likely to happen. But the reality is, none of us know when our time will be our time. If you're 20, but your time is 25, then you are very old. You don't have much time left. But if you're 62, but your time isn't going to be till 96, then you are very young. So, you have a lot of time left. So I think that coming to terms with the fact that we will die, that's the only things are certain is I'm gonna stay black and die, right? that's a saying. So we will all die, and we have to accept that and make plans for that. The other thing is 70% of Americans don't create an estate plan. So of course, communities of color are impacted in greater numbers, but in general, Americans are not likely to estate plan because it does not feel like it's a priority. It feels like something I'll get to later. It's something on my to-do list. At some point, I'll address that. But many times I get calls from families when it's too late and their loved one did not plan, and then they are in a big mess. And that's a conversation for another time. I could tell you story after story of why failure to estate plan cost living families a lot of money, the family members who were behind a lot of money to clean up the mess that was left for them. But so number one, it's uncomfortable to talk about death. Number two, most Americans don't plan in general. And number three, I would be remiss if I didn't acknowledge that there are some cultural specific things that, especially within the Black community, that are barriers to estate planning. The resources, the education around it, the intimidation of, just meeting with a lawyer to talk about it, because lawyers are not typically they're not typically known to represent like good news, kind of like going to the doctor. Sometimes people don't like to go to the doctor because they don't associate that with a warm, comfortable feeling. So those would be some of the barriers that I, off of the top of my head, that I would acknowledge with respect to estate planning.
Well, I'd definitely like to bring you back and talk more about it. Quickly, I have one thought about that and make that I don't see why it can't be fixed, right? I remember back when I was, when we all was younger, and insurance was a big thing, right? The insurance guy used to come to your house, give you a toaster and everything else, send you a Christmas card and things like that. I think if we get back to that sense of tying that together with estate planning, and I think our church can do more in educating our community, that could be a great resource for us to pass generational wealth on. So just my little PSA, what I see that can be changed, that maybe we need to work on as a community.
Yeah, I would agree with that. In fact, I'll be speaking at a church in September, but it does take, whether it's a church or whether it's a community group or a nonprofit, it does take a very forward-thinking leader or forward-thinking leadership to bring conversations like this to the forefront, because what's sexy now is entrepreneurship and investing and flipping the dollar and hustling, and that's kind of the hot button topics right now. But what are we doing all of that for if we don't have a place?
Can't pass it, yeah.
Yeah, to protect ourselves and to protect our families. And the other, just something else I would like to add, estate planning doesn't just protect you when you pass away. It protects you when you are alive. So it has a lot of tools and resources to protect you while you are alive. It's not just something that discusses who gets what when I die. Although that is a major component of it, it's not the end all be all of estate planning.
I definitely agree. I'm honored to have you. I definitely want to have you back on another episode. If you don't mind, let us know a little bit how they can find you. And like I said, I'd love to have you back.
Sure, I would love to come back. And again, thank you so much for having me for this conversation. So on Instagram and TikTok, I am the Savvy Mommie, SAVVY MOMMIE. My firm website is Easer Legal Solutions. So the website is actually easerlegal.com, which is EZERLEGAL. And that's how you can reach me.
Well, I definitely appreciate you. You have the keys to Cousin Ed's Corner. You can come down anytime. I like to say that the brown is under the cabinet and the light is above, but the wine is in the chiller, so you can have that too.
Thank you. Thank you.
Well, guys, if you want to reach her, want to send a message to her or reach her, definitely you can reach her at any of our social media. But you can also go to cousinedscorner.com. Across the top of the page, hit leave voicemail. Leave her a voicemail there, and I'll definitely forward it to her and play it on the next episode. And or you can leave a voicemail, 762-333-2032. That's 762-333-2032, and I will forward it to her. I appreciate you very much, Queen. Thank you very much for joining us. It's another, when my sister wins, we all win. You are winning and definitely changing the community out there. So definitely hats off to you and blessings to you.
Thank you so much. And many happy returns on all of those blessings.
Definitely. Peace, everybody. We love you.
Hi, this is the Savvy Mommie of Easer Legal Solutions. And when I am not creating comprehensive estate plans, I am definitely relaxing and learning from Cousin Ed at Cousin Ed's Corner.
Hey, y'all. Aisha here, founder and CEO of the Sistahs in Business Expo, the country's only multi-city small business expo and community created to celebrate and educate entrepreneurial women of color. Be sure to tune in to the next episode of Cousin Ed's Corner. And remember, when my sister wins, we all win.
This episode of Cousin Ed's Corner was brought to you by the Sistah Shop. Please be sure to visit them at thesistahshop.com. That's TheSistahshop.com. thesistahshop.com. Thank you for listening to Cousin Ed's Corner.